They decided to bring like their entire life's belongings into our property. They had 10 bins of belongings that they moved into the house, and the entire place was decorated to their own taste. It smelled like cigarette smoke. There was trash everywhere. Guys, it was a complete disaster. Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Robert. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm filming in the most beautiful place in the world. You have my bedroom right there. That's where I'm sleeping. This is like the living area, kitchen, whatnot. What's going on, guys? I just woke up. It's 7:23 a.m. Literally just rolled out of bed to make this video, so don't mind me. I'm supposed to be just enjoying my time, yet here I am making you guys a video because I love you all and I need to keep you guys updated on what's going on. So behind me here is this beautiful villa. This is a villa I booked through Airbnb in Bali, Indonesia. And let me just tell you that this place is a gem. Having this exact structure like in Hawaii would probably run like $2 million at least. But since it's in Bali, I guarantee that the cost to have this place looking the way it does, it's probably like 30,000-40,000 honestly. Like real estate here is, it's very interesting to see how things work in this country. I'm gonna tell you guys a little horror story that happened just before I left on this trip at my Airbnb, and it's about a tenant we had stay, and like I'm gonna go over what to expect if this ever happens and how to avoid this exact situation. But yeah, this horror story, and I would like to call it a horror story because it's still ongoing. Like we haven't had the issue resolved yet. And what had happened, we had an inquiry for our property for 9 nights. And we ended up, messaging back and forth with this person, and the reason that they couldn't book is because their account wasn't approved by Airbnb yet. So, that was already it's kind of fishy, the fact that they weren't approved as a guest. And so they were saying that they couldn't get something updated or whatever, and they're working on it. And this happened, I don't even know the dates, but this happened, like 2 weeks ago. And we just waited on this person, because they said they were, they booked our place. And this is at a time when we experienced some glitch on the app ourselves. Like the messages weren't popping up, and I don't know what was going on. It's just like a little bug in the Airbnb app, which was kind of, it was kind of ridiculous. The messages weren't going through, and so we just thought that was just the app's fault. We didn't really think it was anything to do with them. So because they couldn't get their account approved by Airbnb, they couldn't book, they couldn't, it wasn't figured out. So we ended up just giving them the check-in instructions because they said on their end it showed that they were booked, and on our end or whatever, it was all messed up. And we let them into our property, right? And if there's a bunch of noise, it's because there's mopeds and stuff just right here on the street. Like we're in a villa, and like we're above everything else. It's like everything going down on the street is like a hustle bustle of stuff. Don't mind all that. From the get-go, like the entire thing was really sketchy. And I go there the next day to request payment, to see what's going on. And the second I walked through the door, I immediately regretted ever letting this person in our property. I don't know if you guys have watched Graham Stephan's video on his horror experience with one of his tenants, one of his long-term tenants that was growing marijuana in the garage. So I walked through the door, and the Airbnb guest has face tattoos, face piercings, looks like they're on drugs. She had a really, really frail, malnourished looking body. And this whole time I'm thinking, what the heck? Like if I was renting my place out long-term, this is not the person who I'd be giving my property to, like without a doubt. And the fact that they look like that, I wasn't going to judge book by its cover. And it turns out the person who did book for her lived in Springfield, which was a super sketch. So this whole thing kind of happened really fast, and we weren't really ready. Like we weren't reacting well to it. So the person that booked the place was her longtime friend of 10 years. He booked the place for her for the week because she was coming from California, because her grandma had breast cancer or something like that. That was literally what her story was. We're humans, we feel for other humans. Like I'm a really nice guy, I'm not gonna just kick them out on the street, and it was really cold when they were booking our place. So whatever, we're like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I always had this bad feeling in my stomach about it though. I always, I was like, this is not good. Like this person, the second I saw their face, I was like, nothing good can come from this. So moving forward, we gave them the house rules and we told them that we'd leave them alone. This place is all yours. Don't worry about anything. You know, just don't break anything. And then whatever. It was all good. They ended up paying us for all the nights that they booked. So at this point, we had our money, and it was just a matter of, you know, everything going smoothly and them checking out and everything being okay. So fast forward a little bit, I remember I mentioned that the plumbing system went out for the property that I'm using. The entire pipeline underneath the house was like deteriorated, and that's a $5,000 repair for the landlord. So I showed up midweek and I was there to let the plumbers in. And it just so happens that when I opened the door, it smelled like cigarette smoke in the building, like in the house. And I was infuriated. I was like, this is not happening. Cigarette smoke is really hard to clean out. It's really expensive to clean out, and it ruins properties. And so I went there to kick that person out. Me and my wife showed up there to kick this guest out, and when we get there, she said she hasn't been smoking in the property. She was vaping, her stuff smells like smoke, whatever, this and that. So she was really nice, and she made it seem like she wasn't smoking. And it didn't smell as much like smoke then. So maybe, like, you know, because we did contact her, we said, hey, you know, there's no smoking in our property, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna go there and kick her out. And we had no evidence that she was smoking. It hardly smelled like smoke, and she just said that her clothes smelled like smoke, which was a pretty good excuse. So right off the bat, like, if you break a house rule, we have the right to kick you out of our place. And that's why we were there, to kick them out. But I don't know, guys, that's something that's really difficult to do. You really have to put your foot down to do something like that, to kick somebody out. It's like really, really hard, especially for me because I'm such a nice person. It may be a disadvantage for me being this nice. So finally, on the day of checkout, we show up at checkout time, which is 11 a.m. That's 11 a.m. Central Time is when we have our checkout time set out, and we expect the guests to be out of the place by 11 a.m. We don't expect anyone to be there. Like, that's breaking Airbnb policy. They're not compliant at that point. So the fact that they were still there at 11 a.m. was already a red flag for me, and this was something like, this is where the horror story comes in. So I've seen a video before, like, of an Airbnb horror experience with the host filming the guests not leaving the property, and it was a viral video like a couple years ago, and I was like, dang, that would suck. I would be so pissed if that was me. So what ends up happening, we get there and they're not showing any signs of leaving. Like, our place is really clean, really cute, and they decided to bring like their entire life's belongings into our property. They had 10 bins of belongings that they moved into the house, and the entire place was decorated to their own taste. It smelled like cigarette smoke. There was trash everywhere. Guys, it was a complete disaster. And they weren't showing any signs of leaving, and they were saying like, oh, we thought it was tomorrow, which could have been true, but at the same time, like, they had all their crap in our house. I was so pissed. And the more we looked, like, the more crap we found. We found cigarettes under the microwave, which is really, really interesting. They ashed their cigarettes on our furniture, which I'll have pictures for all this stuff. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. They switched all the beds. So they switched the beds from one room to another, and I have no idea why anyone would do this. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of little bolts and screws you have to take apart to move these beds to the doors, because they wouldn't fit otherwise. Everything we found was just mind-blowing to me. The chick who stayed at our place, she dyed her hair in our bathtub and sink, and she stained it red with dye. We spent a lot of time and money on cleaning utensils trying to get this place back to where it was. This whole time, I'm thinking to myself, like, had we just not accepted this tenant from the get-go, we wouldn't have had to deal with all of this. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention, if any of you guys know what this means, they switched all the light bulbs to red in the entire property. Like, that is something that, you know, I still don't understand. I went and Googled it, and apparently it has something to do with drugs or sex trafficking. I'm not sure. So at this point, our property was probably used for sex trafficking or for selling drugs, which really kind of hurts me right here. And this is an issue that we're still trying to resolve with Airbnb. They also damaged our door. I forgot to mention that. They took a bat to our door or something. I'll show you guys this. It looks really bad. This entire experience was just terrible. And from now on, we're screening everybody that we let into our place. Like, this was a very hard lesson to learn from, and it was a really stressful thing to deal with. And we left on this trip while this whole thing is getting resolved. And it's a horror story because I was dealing with the plumbing issue, with the regulations, and with this crap tenant all at the same time. And some of you guys may ask, is it still worth it doing Airbnb? I think absolutely. It's just something that I have to get through. It's just, you know, the chop I have to get through, so it's no big deal for me. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much the Airbnb horror story. If you haven't already, please like this video, share this with anyone you think could enjoy it. Hit the notification bell so you guys know when I upload, and smash subscribe. I will see you guys all in the next one.